on in a lot of video places as well. And this brings me to what I promised earlier, which is last week, Mike Ryan was aggregated for going after Boomer Esiason. Among other things, he called him a few names, and he also said, say what you mean when you're saying to pipe down to the Olympians in the Olympics who are saying of America that they've got sort of bittersweet feelings about representing the country. He told those athletes to pipe down. Mike came at Boomer Esiason, and this resulted in the defense of a couple of different people. First, there was someone named Al, and I don't mean this dismissively. It's just the first time that I asked your son, the executive editor of this show, who is this person so that I can source the material. He looked at a piece of paper and said, this is AI, when he saw the name Al.
Yeah. Executive editor has been promoted.
Yeah, excuse me, executive producer, my bad. Let's hear the sound first from AI Al, and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know the history here, but is this producer allowed to talk because our producers are allowed to talk? Is this person allowed to have an opinion because a long time ago we allowed our producers to have opinions?
I would love to debate that, punk.
Would you?
Yeah.
Wuss boy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Producer versus producer. Some Dan Le Batard. First of all, where you would even find the Dan Le Batard Show is beyond me. Dan Le Batard's one of those. There's so many guys like this that are, you know their name from somewhere else, but what they've been doing for years you don't see. This is what I mean. The social media, they want people fighting. Like that guy, the Dan Le Batard producer.
Do we have a name for this guy?
I don't know.
We should.
Never heard of him.
I did see the write-up on it.
I love it. He goes, why doesn't Boomer say what he really wants to say? Well,
he did.
You're all worked up, fella, so clearly he did.
Right.
Jackass.
So you got a punk, you got a wuss boy, you got a jackass, and then the worst of all of the insults, he hit you with fella. He hit you right in the face with the dead fish of fella.
That's low.
I can't summon any emotion. I don't know who those people are.
I'm not sure that was an AI.
It's just like a bot in my mentions,
Right,
which
so,
there's been a lot of those.
All right, so but we're gonna do I don't know who you are off.
I'm not. You're playing that to get something out of me. I don't give a what that person has to say about anything. I don't know who that is.
Okay.
It could be a Twitter Spaces. I genuinely don't know. I'm sorry. I know that they were running that bit, and it seems like I don't know what that is.
Okay, let me put in front of you Gio. Evidently, you do know.
I do know Gio, and I like him, and I do think that Gio was fair. I didn't disagree with what Gio had to say.
All right, well, let's hear what Gio had to say as we continue to feud with New York radio.
What it seemed like to me, and I don't know if you agree or not, but what it seemed like to me was this is a lot of misguided anger. That this guy is very angry politically about things that are going on. Maybe there's people in his life or others that he has stayed silent about, but then this Boomer thing comes across his plate, and he all of a sudden just explodes, and all the things that were bubbling up in him about whoever that he's been annoyed with comes out, and the direction of it all goes to Boomer, because a lot of these things that he's saying, he clearly doesn't know Boomer and the show. What I mean by that is when he's going on, and if you haven't seen this, the guy's name is Mike Ruiz, is a producer of the Dan Le Batard Show. He said to Boomer, quit being a P word, put your name to it, say what you effing mean. So to Mike Ruiz, I sit next to Boomer 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. I wish he would say what he meant less, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So you don't know what you're talking about. Now, I'm never, ever going to tell Boomer, stop doing this, stop doing that, whatever. But there are times where he'll jam politics into conversations that I'm like, that was unnecessary.
And taxes.
Yeah, and that was unnecessary.
Yep.
And I'm like, now I got to find a way out of it, but that's what he wants to do. He's earned that ability to say all of these things that he wants with this platform. But to sit here and say that he is on here giving you some sort of coded message because he's afraid to say what he wants and he's a P word is just completely misinformed.
It's wrong.
Okay, I think what was outlined was something that was factual, and that I did reach a breaking point. And Boomer was an amalgamation of a lot of people like Boomer, and Boomer himself included, that wade into these waters just to scold what is obviously opposition, because Boomer does not have these takes when the UFC is on. I've been to 3 sporting events that Donald Trump's been at. 30% of these post-fight interviews at the UFC are all glowing in praise of Donald Trump. Donald Trump injects himself in the NFL broadcast, Army, Navy, often pushing lies. I'm a college football fan. I'm a NASCAR fan. I'm a WWE fan. I'm a FIFA World Cup fan. I cannot watch a FIFA World Cup draw without some BS peace award being handed out to the president. And for Boomer Esiason and others like him to only venture into these waters when someone says something pretty innocuous. You want to talk about it like a triggered snowflake. The Olympian was asked a question, and all he said was, I feel conflicted. And yet, that's when you decide to inject politics into the conversation, because that's when you don't want sports and politics.
But it's probably
to mesh.
accumulation from him, though, not just that one medal winner saying it. We've seen that forever.
I don't doubt
not
it.
Forever, for the last few years.
Yeah, I don't doubt that Boomer doesn't like it when he has to be confronted with political opinions that don't match with his. They won. That side won. And I don't just mean the election. I mean sports stopped speaking out about these things. There have been plenty over the last 4.5 years, plenty of issues that athletes would have taken a stand in the 20-teens that decided, no, we're not going to do that. They have made people like Boomer and other MAGA conservatives feel more comfortable, even though they can go ahead and inject politics into the discussion whenever they feel like it. They just don't like other people's politics. And given the state of the nation right now, where people are being shot, where Americans are being unjustly detained and surveilled, where people with proper paperwork are being deported and put into camps. Some of these interviews with people, like I heard an interview with an Irish national that was being detained there, and how, according to this person being detained, some of these guards are assaulting some of these people, these detainees. Some of them don't know where they're going. One day they're just put on a plane and kind of disappeared. I think that I respect other people's opinions because I have to sit there and take it. When it comes to sports, we can disagree. But if you're just trying to shut up one side because it makes you feel better and it helps you sleep at night, that's where I take issue with it.
Well, if you keep it in sports, though, what you're saying when you tell our Olympic athletes to pipe down, even if you just want to keep it in sports, Florida has been deemed to be a place, according to human rights organizations, that is not safe for international tourist travelers before the World Cup and FIFA, because people are being detained. Some of them U.S. citizens. People are being detained and questioned. Some of them are being sent out of the country. So pipe down. The answer has to be no to that.
And the person was answering a question. Like, everybody, look, I'm sure Boomer felt conflicted about what was going on in the nation. It's probably why he voted and many other people voted for Donald Trump, because Donald Trump as a candidate and as a president talks nonstop about how bad this country is. You weren't confronted with anything. You were confronted with an overwhelming popular opinion. Donald Trump is the least popular U.S. president of all time. Plenty of people are upset with what's going on. Plenty of people are conflicted. In fact, those Olympians were insulted by the sitting vice president, told essentially to pipe down. So yeah, I take issue with that. And I'm allowed to speak my mind the same way that you are. And all you're complaining about, and others like you, nameless producers and other people with varying levels of bedside manner, you just don't like what I have to say. And you just want to be able to say what you have to say, silence other people's opinions, and be able to feel comfortable at night. And I'm not going to do what you want me to do, which is shut up about it.
You're all worked up, fellas.
I hate any version of telling an athlete, shut up and play, shut up and dribble. I love it when athletes speak out no matter what they're saying. They're human beings. I loved it when Wembanyama was outspoken about what's happening in Minneapolis. I loved it 10 years ago when LeBron and Dwayne were speaking out about Trayvon Martin. You know, it's real life. These athletes...
You love it, but you're aware that that's divided, right? You love it, but you're not the popular opinion there. Like you love it, but
no. The opposition also loves it just when it agrees with their ideology. Let's Go Brandon was born from a sporting event.
Right.
They love politics being injected into the conversation. Conservative tennis fans love when Donald Trump is a guest of Rolex at the U.S. Open so they can, by the way, effectively ease tariffs on their company, just overt corruption using sports as the vessel. They're fine with all of that. They're fine with Ryder Cup as long as it agrees with them. And as somebody who happens to like all these sports that along the political spectrum are probably further right, I have to sit there and eat it. I have to. Okay, that's a transaction. But other people get to voice their feelings too. And all too often, people like Boomer and people that are aligned with the MAGA right only want their opinions espoused into microphones, and that's BS. That is not fair.